Today, frozen concentrated orange juice is getting squeezed big time out of consumers' homes and the commodities market as well. On a monthly basis, consumers drink 1.4 million gallons of frozen concentrated orange juice. But this pales in comparison to the 19.1 million gallons of fresh orange juice consumed. Are the days of the frozen concentrated orange juice market numbered? We want to bring in Roger Corrado right now. He's Senior Vice President at Ingalls and Snyder, and it is good to see you, Roger. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We also have all of these breakfast items because orange juice at one point was all the rage, and it's not anymore. How come?
Well, as I was discussing, earlier, I mean, orange juice kind of lost favor with all the diets, the low sugar diets and all that. I mean, when Atkins came around, the orange juice really lost a lot of its appeal. I mean, everybody would always say, including, my mom, like, have a glass of orange juice in the morning, it gives you the energy. Now, with all the energy drinks out there, as we were discussing, every other choice, it seems that orange juice is actually the unhealthy choice. And it's really, you could see it in the market and the consumption, as you just mentioned.
Well, it will keep you from getting scurvy. So
yes.
That's a good thing. But but people, even the orange juice drinkers, have moved away from concentrated orange juice. It's just, it just has no market anymore.
Well, the concentrate, not necessarily that we, say you sell concentrate that you actually take home and mix yourself. I mean, most of your orange juice, if you look at a carton, it says made from concentrate, so that's really the market, was made from concentrate. Now it seems everybody, and especially in the past, let's say 5 years, everything's fresh, everything you get is fresh. You want fresh this, you want fresh that. So that's pretty much a lot to do with the concentrate orange juice, whether it's in, a container made from concentrate or you're actually still mixing it, which I don't really know of anybody who does. I mean, my mom's still alive, but I don't think she even does it.
Let me give you a quick tip about frozen concentrated orange juice in the South. It is a critical component of anyone's diet because you make sherbet punch with it.
Wow.
You make punch with frozen concentrated orange juice, Sprite, and then sherbet for, say, a baby shower. So
there's still a use for it, is what you're telling me.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, is there an alternative? Is there something that has taken the place? Because the truth is, there is some truth to the fact that sugar is the enemy when it comes to health, your health. And so there's sugar in concentrated orange juice. So what has taken its place?
Well, you could say what's taken its place is probably a lot of these alternate drinks. You see like anything from Gatorade to Powerade. Now, Gatorade's been around as long, in flavor as long as orange juice, but it really now is promoted much better and all that. Juice is it's basically all of our orange juice comes from Florida. I mean, all the oranges in Florida converted into orange juice. California is where you get most of your fresh fruit. So you say, what's taking its place are all these other choices, and believe it or not, are people drinking those for breakfast? I assume they are. They start the day with a Red Bull, or they start the day with a Powerade or a Gatorade, as opposed to what I would say, even such a healthy glass of orange juice,
Let me switch gears and ask you about one of the stories in the Journal. I'm so sorry, Brian. The number 3 story in the Journal this morning, the U.S. on track to post the longest stretch of falling food prices since 1960.
Yes, I saw it.
That's got to be good news for customers, obviously, but it's bad news for farmers and grocers. What's behind this drop? Well, I mean, the price of a gallon of milk down 11% to a little over $3 compared to a year ago.
Right. I think it's just the whole culture now, the way people are eating, the smaller meals, the fad diets, everything from red meat to orange juice. We could mention everything, look at that plate of sausage. I mean, who's going to really eat that, the butter and all that? It's kind of like,
I know some people who would eat it.
A lot of this, though, is an excess supply of all of the food products, whether it's in the dairy business, meats, grains, because demand from China and other countries has fallen because the dollar has been strong.
Oh, without a doubt. That hurts significantly, when you look at other countries and you say the demand has fallen. That's just, like a lot of our food commodities, which I've traded, throughout my career, not, coffee, sugar, cocoa, I call them the breakfast commodities, but you've seen them fall, and also the participation isn't there as the trade, and the consumption is not there from the consumer. So the Journal's right on with this story this morning saying, these are all down, like I think they said 50% in the past year or so. I mean, it's supply and demand, just like oil. When oil gets to the $20, $30 level, everybody's, what do they mention? The supply, the demand, and it's the same thing in the food business.
But this is really helpful we talk about consumers not getting a raise for over a decade or more. I mean, these falling falling food prices, falling oil prices have been really helpful for your average person. And so, you know, you producers are sort of saying this is a real problem, but consumers are cheering it. They love paying lower prices.
Well, it couldn't come at a better time, you know, for the economy and everything. You know, you see the struggles and, you know, the reflection of, let's say, the Dow isn't a reflection of the economy, as you guys always mention. You know, it's the truth. And you say, like, okay, you know, you're giving the consumers a break, but in the same token, you know, you do have a lot of farmers that are going to start struggling. So for every good story, there's that underlying bad story that follows it. And
it all works together when you look at the economy and the Federal Reserve. I mean, you don't see the kind of inflation that would warrant interest rates to move higher.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one issue.
Well, you know, that's a debatable issue every day. It's the same thing. When are they going to, or, you know, if the market doesn't, at these levels, think about raising the rates, then at what point are we going to get there? You know, I mean...
well, I guess there is some inflation when it comes to wages, right? I mean, that's where some inflation, but food is down.
Food is down. Yeah. You know, farmers are hurting. The land, you know, just as an example, in orange juice, most of the land that was growing oranges is now being converted into real estate because that's where the value is. So your farmers who had a lot of real estate in Florida are converting and building, you know, homes and condominiums on it because that's what makes sense.
It's so interesting, too, the trends in the way people consume food. People want local. People want not big brands. You want your local small brands. And I don't, you know, that's what makes it really tough for farmers when you try, like the quantity that they can produce now is so much.
Think about it, like, you know, have you seen so many farmers markets? I mean, I live in Hoboken, let's say, Weehawken in Hoboken. Every Saturday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, there's a farmer's market. My son goes to school at Xavier Manhattan. Down Union Square, the farmer's market. I
love
went from one day to, you know, that's, think about it. But years ago, there were no farmer's market. There was no fresh farmer's market. Everybody shopped in the food stores.
Yeah, but people say, I only eat local, and then they eat a Doritos taco.
Right.
2 days a week.
Well, for sure.
It's made locally.
But what do they buy at home?
That's
the question.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people who are doing that whole local trend. And the big company, it's like a David and Goliath thing. I see it all the time with my clients. They're trying to, how do you get somebody to want to have Tropicana when you can go get fresh squeezed at a farmer's market?
Well, the same thing. I mean, in your refrigerator, do you really have the inventory, let's say, that when you were growing up that your parents had in the refrigerator? No, my son lives, you know, with 2 roommates. I look in the refrigerator, there's 3 things in there. So everybody's stopping off and buying stuff on their way home, you know? It's the truth.
Yeah. People are still eating pancakes and waffles, though, right?
Well,
so we're good there. Roger, good to see you, sir.
Oh,
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Roger
guys.
Corrado joining us there.